Hello, my name is Brian Cronin, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to this tutorial on Paper B of the European Qualifying Exam, reply to a communication from the EPO. Did you already follow the tutorial on drafting Paper A? Here then is an introduction for the work we're going to do on Paper B. This tutorial is based on the 2013 EQE Paper B, Electrical Mechanical, reply to an EPO communication, and the tutorial is presented in three parts. Part 1 is assimilating information, which is this first part that we're dealing with now. Part 2 is organization and planning, which will be the next part, and part 3 is the final product, presenting the reply and comments, where I'll present my specimen amended claims and specimen reply letter and make some comments. I recommend that you follow the tutorial in the sequence part 1, part 2, part 3. When you do a B paper, you may find it convenient to merge part of the organization and planning as you are already reading assimilating information. The important thing is to have a plan worked out before you start writing the final product, which is the reply letter to the EPO. Next, I'll introduce you to the subject. As I said, the tutorial is based on 2013 EQE Paper B EM. If you don't already have a copy of the paper, download one from the EPO website under the captions Learning and Compendium. The tutorial is in English, but you can do your work using the French or German papers if you wish. The subject is a closure for a beverage container. If you are a chemist, you should be able to handle this subject matter as part of your professional development. And you should note that from 2017, there will be a single EQE reply paper B on subject matter accessible to everyone. So if you're a chemist preparing for the 2017 B exam, this is going to be good practice. Let's consider the scenario for the B paper in its present day format. So here's a scenario. The client's patent application has been searched by the EPO. The examining division has issued a communication which usually cites novelty-destroying prior art. The client supplies you with a proposed set of amended claims that he thinks should overcome the objections. The client also makes some comments and gives guidance. Usually, the client's proposed amendment is good enough to overcome the patentability objection, but is formally defective. For example, an amendment does not meet up to the requirements of Article 1232 because of added subject matter. Your job is as follows. 1. Make the amended claims comply in all respects with the EPC. 2. Write a reply letter to the EPO where you justify the basis of the amendments, reply to all objections, and defend patentability. 3. You are expected to present your arguments for inventive step following the problem solution format, which we will come to in part 3. The first part is going to be to read the papers, and we'll start with some notes on purposive reading for paper B. You can read the papers in the order that suits you best. The following is one suggestion for efficient reading that you may wish to deviate from as you feel appropriate. So let's start by making a first scan, looking at the drawings, followed by purposeful reading, for example, as follows. 1. Read the client's proposed amendment over the claims as filed. The purpose of this reading is to familiarize yourself with the invention and the task. Secondly, read the communication with the prior art. Purpose here is to check the examiner's objections, which are usually right. As a matter of fact, as far as I'm aware, in all B papers in the past, the examiner's objections have always been well taken. Next, I suggest to read the description of the client's application. Here we have a dual purpose. The first purpose is to check for support for the amendments, and the second purpose, which could be done in a second pass reading, is to identify support for inventive step, effect, advantages, and so on. And lastly, review the prior art, and here the purpose would be to check for pointers away from the client's claim. Now let's make a scan through the papers, starting with the drawings. Here is the client's figure 1. You can see that there's a container closure 3, which has a device 42 or 4 for sending waves 5 into a liquid in the container 1. That's all we need to notice for the time being. Next, we go to figure 2 and figure 3. Figure 2 shows a bottleneck with a device 42 for sending waves into a liquid 2. Figure 3 shows a complete bottle with a shaped bottom inside that reflects the waves. So much for the client's drawings. We don't have to dwell on them any longer at this stage. We can go to the drawings of the prior art documents D1 and D2. Here we have on the left D1's drawing, which shows a bottleneck with a double-headed tuning fork that passes through a closure at 100. The tuning fork receives waves from an external emitter 110 and transmits waves 105 into the liquid 102. That's D1. D2's drawing is on the right. D2 shows an upside-down bottle with a wave emitter 204 on the bottle bottom, in other words, on the outside of the bottle and not as part of the closure. That's all we need to notice for the time being. Now we can go straight to the client's proposed claim amendment. Here is the client's proposal for amendment of Claim 1, which I've reproduced, and I'll read it out with you. A closure for a beverage container, the closure being arranged for accelerating the maturing process of a beverage. The closure comprising a body, a vibrator unit for generating sound waves in the beverage, an air channel crossed out, and means for conducting electrical signals to the vibrator unit, comma, And then what we have below is new text which has been added, characterized in that the vibrator unit comprises an electromechanical vibrator for generating the sound waves at different frequencies. So we can see then that there's a new characterizing part to the claim, at the end of the claim. The electromechanical vibrator in the new part is suspicious because there is no reference number for the electromechanical vibrator, so that needs to be checked. And next we'll go to the amendments for the claim set, and we'll check those amendments. Here then is the proposal for amending the dependent claims. Claim 2, according to claim 1, wherein the body is made of wood, cork, or a synthetic polymer, that is unchanged. 3, according to any preceding claim, wherein the electromechanical vibrator is a piezoelectric vibrator, and we can see from the crossed out words have largely been imported into claim 1. So we can see what has happened there, that claim 1 now includes a generalized version of what was originally claim 3. Claim 4 is according to claim 3, comprising a vibrator plate having a parabolic surface. The parabolic surface here is on the vibrator plate, and that claim is unamended. And then we have two new claims. Closure according to any previous claim comprising an air channel. This compensates for the deletion of air channel in claim 1. And new claim 6, in a bottle, a closure according to any previous claim, wherein the bottle has an internal parabolic surface. And we can see that the in a wording of claim 6 is going to need some attention. So we have an amended claim 1, which contains a generalized form of claim 3. We have claim 2 and 4 are unamended, claims 5 and 6 are new, and claim 3 has been reduced to the piezoelectric vibrator. Now let's make some notes concerning the client's proposal. These notes, normally you would make them on the proposal itself in the margin or somewhere on the paper. You may need to conserve the client's version to have your handed in version at the end, so you can make your notes somewhere. So here are the notes. 1, deleting the air channel. We have to check the description for justification. 2, electromechanical vibrator. We have to check the description for basis. 3, inner bottle of claim 6 needs attention. 4, check basis for bottle with internal parabolic surface. 5, check which prior art document corresponds to the pre-characterizing part. 6, check that the characterizing clause provides novelty and is a basis for inventive step. Now let's turn to the client's letter. The client's letter in paragraph 1 says that the client sells closures for beverage containers and special bottles with closures, so it's going to be important to salvage the client's claim 6 covering the bottle. And then the client sets out the advantage, and I'm going to read exactly what the client says here. Our invention has the advantage that a single closure can generate sound waves at different frequencies. Therefore, different specific flavors can be selectively developed in an alcoholic beverage using a single closure. And then the client goes on to say in paragraph 1 that the third embodiment is particularly effective. Paragraph 2, the client proposes his draft set of claims. He is convinced that the subject matter of claim 1 is new and inventive. You have to check that. The client is probably right. On the other hand, the client says, please make any amendments to the proposed claim set you consider to be necessary for the claims to fulfill the requirements of the EPC. So this is an invitation to look for formal amendments to the claims, but the client hinting that novelty and inventive step are secured. Paragraph 3 talks about the removal of the air channel. It has been removed in order to protect the closure of figure 1. So this is a point that we're going to check as we go ahead. And the client says that we do not want you to add further dependent claims. And this is an important instruction because it means that you should not go about developing a set of further dependent claims to add to the existing set, which is something you are expected to do some years in paper B. And paragraph 4, clearly the client here is asking you to make a request for accelerated prosecution under the PACE program, and you will have to do this in the letter. Normally in paper B you would not request PACE if the client does not mention that acceleration is urgent, but here, as the client requested expressly, you must do it. Good. Let's now turn to the communication. The communication, I've got my communication here. The EPO communication is a very important, it's a pivotal point for inputting information for the amendment or for the reply paper. You need to read the communication with claim 1 and the closest prior art D1 available, and you need to check if the examiner's objections are correct. Of course, the examiner's objections are always correct, but you have to check this all the same. The way in which the examiner equates D1 by paraphrasing claim 1 is most helpful. So let's check D1 against the original claims using D1's drawings. So this is on the slide. D1 discloses a closure for a beverage container. The closure is arranged for accelerating the maturing process of a beverage. The closure comprises a body, a vibrator unit, which is a tuning fork 104, for generating sound waves in the beverage, an air channel, and means, which is the metal rod 108, for conducting electrical signals to the vibrator unit. Note that the metal rod is suitable for conducting electrical signals to the vibrator unit, even though this is not described, such conduction is not described in D1. So with that description, and if you have checked that reading D1 at the same time, you will notice that original claim 1 lacks novelty over D1, and moreover, original claim 1 now corresponds to the pre-characterizing part of the proposed amended claim, so D1 is obviously a candidate for the closest prior art. Let's pursue the communication. The communication doesn't say too much about D2. It says the use of piezoelectric generators in paragraph 3 for generating sound waves in wine bottles is known from D2, and you can check that by looking at the drawing of D2. And there is a sort of hint here that D2 is not relevant for novelty, but may come in for an inventive step. And in fact, if we look at the D2 drawing, there is a piezoelectric generator 204 attached to the outside of the bottom of the wine bottle, so it does not form part of the bottle closure, which explains why D2 is not novelty destroying for claim 1 and is more in the category of secondary prior art. Let's now finish with the communication. Paragraph 4 goes on. Claim 4 claims a closure having a vibrator plate in addition to a vibrator unit. The description only discloses a vibrator plate as being part of a vibrator unit. See paragraph 9. Claim 4 is therefore not supported by the description as required by Article 84 EPC. There again, we have to address this objection of lack of support later. We can see by looking at the top of figure 3 that in fact the vibrator plate 43 is part of an integral vibrator unit 4, and it's quite likely that the examiner is going to be correct, but we have to check that as we go along. Next, we turn to the client's description for purposeful reading. So what's our purpose now for reading the description? The first purpose is to seek basis or lack of basis for the proposed amendments, removal of the air channel, the basis for the electromechanical vibrator, and the objection to claim 4 and the vibrator unit relative to paragraph 9. And the second purpose of the purposeful reading, which can be done in one go or two goes, is to check possible support for inventive step. In other words, the effect of the piezoelectric or electromechanical vibrator. Let's now start with the description. Let's skim through the description together, highlighting useful information as we go along. So paragraph 1 is okay, there's not too much, there's a closure for a beverage container. Paragraph 2 is background information about a maturing process going back to the 9th century. Paragraph 3 is a sort of an abridged statement of invention, and the second sentence concerns obviously client's claim 6. I think I have claim 8 written on the slide there. It's client, I think it's client's claim 6. Let me just go back to the claims to make sure what we're talking about. Client's claim 6 or claim. It's client's claim 6. I'm sorry. In the slide there, it's written client's claim 8, but that should be client's claim 6. So where were we now? Paragraph 2, paragraph 3 is a statement of invention and possible statement concerning new claim 6, not claim 8. Paragraph 4 is a brief description of the different embodiments of the drawings. Paragraph 5 concerns figure 1. We have figure 1 on the slide. We can see the closure, a beverage container 1, a closure 10, a signal generator, and a cable plug. The beverage container comprises an air inlet 7. Note that the closure does not have an air inlet, but the container does have an air inlet. That concerns a deletion from claim 1. The alcoholic beverage closed by the closure, the made of wood, the signal generator, and so on. The signal is arranged to provide an electrical signal. The vibrator provides it. And there's a piezoelectric vibrator 41, which transforms the electrical signal into sound waves, and they accelerate the maturing process of the beverage. If we now turn over and we go to paragraph 6, we find that here there is some important information about the development of specific flavors can be accelerated by sound waves at different specific frequencies, and piezoelectric vibrator 41 generates sound waves at different frequencies. This is related to the advantage that the client stated. There is a passage at the end of paragraph 6 concerning electromechanical vibrators, and although electromechanical vibrators are disclosed, it seems that they are disclosed in a different context, and we're going to have to check that as we read along to know whether there is a basis for broadening the claim to electromechanical vibrators. Paragraph 7 doesn't have very much. Paragraph 8 says that the air channel serves as an inlet for oxygen, which is essential for the maturing process, which is very important. And there's also something about the vibrator unit and the valve effect of switching it on and off, which I didn't understand fully the first time round, but I don't think it's too important. If we turn over, we come to paragraph 9. The vibrator plate has a parabolic surface. That's important. The vibrator unit comprises a piezoelectric vibrator and a vibrator plate. This is relevant to the objection for claim 4. Paragraph 10 says that the bottle has an internal parabolic surface, which is needed, I think, for the new claim 6. So we have two parabolic surfaces. One is in the bottle, the other is in the vibrator plate. And we come to a paragraph 11, which has some important statements concerning the need for an opening or air channel. And it says, where closures are used with a container comprising its own inlet, closures do not need to have an air channel. In other words, if the bottle has an air inlet, the closure does not have to have an air inlet. And it says, where the beverage container does not comprise an air inlet, it is essential that the closure comprises an air channel. So this is important. These are important statements for the leaving out or not the air channel from claim 1. And now we go to a summary of notes from the purposeful reading of the description. So first we will expand the notes into a plan in the planning part 2, but these notes are basis for amendment, remove air channel, question mark, yes, figures 1's closure has no air channel, see also paragraph 11. So we're going to justify the removal of the air channel from claim 1. Is there a basis for an electromechanical vibrator? And here I said preliminary, no question mark. Piezoelectric vibrator is consistent because piezoelectric vibrators are smaller than other electromechanical vibrators, does not establish that electromechanical vibrators in general can be used. See paragraph 6, line 17. Claim 4, vibrator unit. No basis for the vibrator plate other than part of the vibrator unit. Paragraph 9, figure 3. And support for inventive step. Effect of the piezoelectric vibrator. See paragraph 6. Next, we'll read the prior art, or review the prior art. So D1 whiskey document. It discloses for accelerating the maturing process of whiskey in paragraph 1. It has a tuning fork 104-109 in paragraph 1. It has an external loudspeaker 110 with electromechanical vibrator, paragraph 2. The tuning fork generates sound waves of a specific frequency, at least 1 kilohertz, paragraph 2 specific frequency, and paragraph 3 at least 1 kilohertz. And it states that combinations of flavors can be obtained, but you have to use different tuning forks. This is paragraph 3, and this will be an important feature for the inventive step discussion. Let's complete the purposeful reading with D2. D2 is all about wine. Wine sediment has to be removed by shaking the bottle, and there is micro shaking in paragraph 2. Micro staking to move the sediment of sparkling wine towards the bottleneck, which is inverted, with a low production of CO2, is described in paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. The D2 bottle is closed and it has internal parabolic surface 217 for withstanding high pressure, and in fact we could say that the bottle is under pressure because there's a pressure sensor and so on. So for paragraph 4 says for sensing the pressure in the bottle, so the bottle is under pressure. The piezoelectric generator 204 is outside the bottom of the bottle 201, not part of the closure. You can see that from the figure. The frequency is set at a fixed value of 0.1 Hertz to reduce CO2 generation. This comes from paragraph 3. And paragraph 4 says that the piezoelectric vibrator has a width of several centimeters because sparkling wine bottles are heavy. So we can see that the 204 is several centimeters wide. Let's now have a preview of the next phase, which is going to be planning. So the next step is to organize the information we have, either noted or in the documents, into a plan for the answer. And in outline, the plan is going to be organized into claim amendments, basis of the amendments, outline of novelty, outline of inventive step, and inventive step will follow the problem and solution approach, closest prior art, which is D1, differentiating feature, effect, objective problem, reasons for unobviousness over D1 and over D1 plus D2. And during our planning, we will refer back to the source documents as necessary, in particular to the passages marked during assimilation. This may involve some rereading or deeper reading and marking up further passages to be included in the reply. Next is organization and planning. So this is the end of part 1 of our tutorial on paper B, assimilation of information. Please continue your work with part 2, which deals with organization and planning. À bientôt.